And so here it is, the Umarex Origin. This is the non-regulated PCP, 22 caliber, side cocking lever on it. Safety's located right here by your thumb. I'm excited to shoot this thing. Let me tell you, it's every time a new gun comes out, I get really excited. So one of the first things I noticed when I picked it up, convenient spot here. So as you fire the gun from this position, you got your pressure gauge there. You can tilt it over and look at your pressure gauge. Up here, you got the nice side cocking lever. You can pull it back just like this, right back in position, and it's convenient to go back to there. One of the things I noticed first when I picked this up was the fact it feels a lot like the Air Saber. It's got that thin design. It snugs up right against your body. It's actually very, very comfortable. So we're going to do some range time with it. I've mounted up a scope. We got a 4x16 on here by 44 Axion, and we'll take that actually into the range, and we'll give it some test runs and see how it works. But so one of the benefits to this is you don't just get the gun, you also get a pump with it. And so the technology that they have with the ever pressure system, you can take this thing from starting from 0 and pump it 13 times and you'll get your first full shot. So we're gonna have to figure out later on exactly how many shots, and we'll do a whole separate section just on the pump itself. I'm pumping this thing up and how to make that work. But it comes with a probe, so all you need from here, plug it right in the top, and then I'll show you where it plugs in on the bottom, right here on bottom. So you just pull this little flap back. My recommendation is you don't pull the third one out, it just makes it a little bit easier. And then you can take your pump, hook it up on the gun, and it just slides right into place by doing that. And I would just lay the gun on the ground so you can see that, and you stand right over the top and pump it. One of the things I found though is pumping this thing while charging it with this, 13 shots or 13 pumps will get you your first shot, your first full power shot. But if you pump it about 30 to 35 times right in that zone, you'll get about 2,000 PSI built up in the gun, which should give you about 12 shots in there, somewhere in that range, 12 to 15 shots roughly. And so we just want to check it out for performance. So we'll pump it all the way up. We're going to run through a whole shot string there just to see what the pressures look like and at what point there's a sweet spot. In almost every unregulated gun, there's a sweet spot in there somewhere that'll tell you, hey, this is the best one to get the best grouping at the best distances that you can get out there, and we'll go ahead and run through that. But it's very simple. You pump it up, let it go. There's a relief valve and stuff down here, but it comes with the pump and the gun. So that combo is awesome to me because a lot of people, this is the best entry level. If you're going to start in a PCP and you can't afford to go buy an electric pump or something like that, you buy this because it comes with everything. So that's where I would start out, is right here. There's also a relief valve down there so you can actually drain it if you need to. But again, stock design, everything is real beautiful. Up here on the front, you'll see this is not a fill station, and everybody will naturally want to take this and try to plug it in the front. It doesn't fill up there in the front. So just and it says not a fill port, if you will. And then above that is actually where the pellet comes out. So 22 caliber, Umarex Origin, comes with a pump. I think it's time we hit the range. Let's go do it. All right, so we're out at the range right now. Before you guys got here, basically before we started filming, I just wanted to kind of check, and I ran through some different grain weights on the pellets. So we're shooting the 22 caliber. I started out with 33 grains just to see how they perform. At 10 yards, they did pretty good, but the groupings were really good actually. But when we got out to 25 yards, they started to wander a little bit on us. And so with this one here, I actually found out that if we dropped down to 25 grains to see if that worked, that wasn't giving us a grouping that we like. So the sweet spot right now where I'm feeling is right around that 17 to 18 grains on the pellets, and it seems to work pretty good. So, and when I say pretty good, we're actually getting stuff that's getting good groupings. So today I have it set out at 25 yards. We'll start the shot string from there. We're filled up to about 3,600 PSI. What I've also noticed in there is we'll see that we'll drop per magazine about 500 PSI per magazine. So that gives you a rough idea where you're at. And we get a little bit faster as the tank starts to empty a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just run a shot string here, and I'll start with the upper left-hand target, and we'll just run a magazine through it, and that's 10 shots, and we'll see how it performs. Really like this gun. I do like the side cock lever, which is really making things nice. So go ahead and pull that back. Loads up just like your standard magazine. Pop it into place. Let me check. 36. And we're going upper left-hand target. Safety off. And more so what I'm looking for here is a grouping. I'm aiming at the same spot every time. So that first one that comes out of there, I noticed on the other ones, first shot seems to be the wild card in the bunch. It's not even really wild, it just seems to be a little bit off. But it starts to group really good after that. And I'm not compensating at all, I'm just keeping the grouping right there, holding center every time. Right, so that's 10, we're done on that. And our pressure is sitting right at about 3,000. So with 3,000 PSI left in this, I'm gonna change the magazine out. Like I said, we're getting about 500 PSI drop per magazine. So that's actually working pretty good. Goggles back on. All right, I'm gonna go upper right hand target. And I'm again just gonna hold center on the target, on the upper right hand target. This is really smooth. This gun feels really good. Hit this. Okay, that's magazine number 2, and we're at 2,500 pounds. Again, 500 PSI, we're done in drops. So I'm gonna have to load up another magazine here real quick, or I'll just dump them on the counter and then pull them on in. So what we're hoping for on this one, if we can actually get this string here, we'll see where this one actually hits. And what I'll do is actually move to the center target on this one. So we can actually pay attention to see where that grouping goes. Because at this point here, as the tank starts to get lower, that valve's gonna stay open just a tad bit longer. Our speeds are gonna pick up a little bit more, which we might see a little bit of a rise, possibly in the pellet, from where our aim is actually hitting. So 10 rounds, running back in here. This will be magazine number 3. And drop it right back in place. All right. And I'm going center target on this one here. And just to confirm again, we are at 2,500 PSI. And we started at 3,600, 2 magazines into it. Oh, I got it into index. Nope, it didn't index there, so let me double check that. All right. Had a pellet get in the way there. Didn't push it down far enough. Now I think I'm just running right down the same hole. All right, and that's magazine number 3. So we've hit the 2,000 mark, 2,000 PSI. So magazine number 3, they're grouped up in the center, and we'll be able to pull that target back and take a look at it, or you guys are actually probably watching it on camera down there. So what I'll do is load up one last magazine, which will show you the results from there, and we'll take a look at it just to see where we're hitting. So right now we have 30 shots, and that's the 30 optimal shots if you're in there. We're gonna run one more magazine just to see where it hits, and I'll move down to that bottom left-hand target to check that out. So with this here, as the tank starts to get closer to empty, what's gonna happen is the valve is gonna stay open even longer here as our pressures get a little bit lower, and it's having to push this heavier slug down or the heavier pellet down the barrel. So we should be able to see how this runs. We'll see, and I'll have a total of 10 in here. Finish loading it up. And we got 10. And just to confirm, we are at 2,000 PSI, looking at here. And we should be good to go. I'm gonna go bottom left-hand target. Safety. Starting to see a little bit of a climb there. Still grouping though. There's a tad bit of a drop on that one. That one actually hit the bullseye. And you can hear the audible sound in there. You can hear that little bit of a change. And here comes this last shot. So now we're hitting low. And what shot was that? 2 from the end, and we're at about 1,000. So we know these things run at about 1,100 PSI is what you want optimally flying down the barrel, and that's what the valves are normally tuned to, especially when you're shooting a 22 caliber. So this last shot here, I know when I fire this one, it's probably gonna hit really low on this last shot, but we'll just give it a run and see how it does anyways. And that was my last shot, and it was low. So that was a 40 shot string running through there, and I did, we had one where it burned off, so we might have actually had that same grouping. I burned an extra shot here just to kind of give you that when I didn't have that one pellet index in the magazine. So when you get really to the end of 40, you're gonna have a significant drop in there. Otherwise, I think the gun itself, this thing's gonna be a lot of fun. And if you actually look at the groupings up close, they actually group pretty well and within a very small range. So could you go out and hunt rabbits with this thing at 25 yards? No problem with that. I'm sure a lot of you guys will play with it and want to push it out even further, push it out to 50 yards and see what you can do. And again, playing with the pellets is going to be the biggest thing. Find the right grain weight. It might be the shape of the pellet. I found that the 18 grain tends to be the sweet spot that I've found so far. And in design, you can find different ones that are out there. For that, this is shooting the Origin. We're on the range. I just wanted to give you guys the first look of my opinion on it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a great gun. 30 optimal shots. The last 10 you get in there, still going to be good enough to take your game from that point. But with that, you guys have fun slinging lead.